Um, in any event, getting back to our Gemara here, we were talking about the um, we're talking about these items that you're using for your sukkah, for your schach, for your walls. If they smell, a person will leave. What level of drabanan is that you did not fulfill the mitzvah? Is this a drabanan where the rabbi said you have to do it this way, and if you don't, you're not yotzei? Or are they saying we are telling you you're not allowed to use this because you might end up leaving the sukkah? But if if you didn't leave the sukkah and used it, or you built a sukkah already, you're still yaitza, you're still fulfilling the mitzvah. That you didn't fulfill the rabbinic obligation of not using this for schach, but you used it for schach. But it's still a kosher sukkah, even rabbinically. It's just the rabbi said don't do that. But you fulfill the mitzvah of schach rabbinically? Yeah. Or maybe the rabbi said no, you can't use this for schach. This is not called kosher schach. So different ways of understanding this rabbinic law, and and the question is, so how did the Paiskim understand when it's considered a rabbinic law that it's a obligation, and if you don't do it that way, you didn't fulfill the mitzvah. And how do the Paiskim know when it's considered a absolute rabbinic law, and when is it considered um, when is it considered a rabbinic law that is not absolute? And the rabbi said, don't use what you call it, this shvatzri and shushi. The rabbi said, don't use this. Okay, but if you did, it's yaitzus. So how did the poskim know which way it is? So it could have to do with the reasoning. When the rabbis give their reasoning, that's where the poskim all latch on to. Oh, you see the reason. If the reason is that you might transgress a biblical law, so then the rabbis were absolute, But maybe where the reason is that it's um, an issue of we're afraid that you might leave the sukkah, shavik luvanafik. So maybe that might show that the rabbis were just concerned that you might, not that you're going to transgress a mitzvah, but you're just going to leave. In other words, leaving the sukkah is not an avera. Leaving the sukkah is just a negative thing that the rabbis felt that a person shouldn't, that a person should stay in the sukkah as long as he can, and this would not be appropriate. So could be from the reasoning. That's where the poskim take their idea how far they want to take it. Now, some poskim want to say that this is, again, some of the Mefarshim, the Ran and the Ritva, they want to learn that this is even b'di'evet, you're not fulfilling the mitzvah. But the others seem to want to say that maybe there's a difference here, and that would be the reason to be lenient, maybe because of the reasoning. I'm just throwing a thought of how the commentaries might know to differentiate between these cases. In fact, in the Shulchan Aruch, it does mention that in the rabbis, yesh devarim she'asru l'sakech behem lechatchila. In the Shulchan Aruch, and it picks and chooses. Even though the previous Gemara we didn't say that there were that you don't have it's lechatchila. We didn't say lechatchila. In the previous Gemara, Taisus even took out the word lechatchila. Here, the Gemara doesn't say lechatchila, and yet Shulchan Aruch brings in it's lechatchila, and it's based on the fact that the commentaries, the Rosh, the Rambam, they hold that this is only a lechatchila law. So in Shulchan Aruch it brings that there's some things that the rabbis only prohibited lechatchila, and there are types of asev she'ein rei lachila, it's a type of grass that's not fit to eat. It's not mekabel tumah, but there's reicham ra, has a bad smell, and that's the next Gemara about they're falling off, and we're afraid that it's going to cause a person to leave the sukkah. So seemingly, I'm throwing a thought that seemingly that's how they know that it's only a problem only as a preferred way to dwell in the sukkah. And the Mishaburi says if a person went and used it for schach, it's kosher to dwell in it, and even though you have even though you have other schach, you don't have to remove this schach and put on the other schach. But if it's very bad smell, then it might be prohibited biblically. then it's a problem. But if it's just maybe not a nice smell, it's a bad odor, but not a terrible one, then it would be that's where it's okay. Even if you have other schach, you're not obligated to go and change the schach. So the way the Mishnah Berurah understands it is that lechatchila means if you didn't put it on the schach and the sukkah yet. Once you put it on the sukkah, it's okay. That's the lenient view. Yes, Jeffrey.
So there's also the peculiarity that smell